Discover the incredible moment when pity transformed my Christmas, a surprising family revelation. Rachel Matthews sat alone in her small, dimly lit apartment, staring blankly at her computer screen. The faint sound of holiday music wafted in from the neighbors' homes, punctuating the dense silence that enveloped her. She was an exceptional graphic designer, yet in that moment, all she felt was the specter of inadequacy. Struggling to carve a niche in a competitive industry, she had become a ghost in her own life, her talent obscured by the loudness of those who had made it. The festive season, with its festive lights and laughter, weighed on her like a heavy blanket, stifling and suffocating. Christmas had once been a joyful celebration, filled with love and family around the fire. Now, those memories only deepened the chasm of loneliness she felt each passing year, stirring feelings of nostalgia that were almost painful to bear. Each remembered Christmas morning accentuated the disconnect. Those faces and feelings felt so foreign now, replaced by quiet disappointment and the sight of her cluttered workspace. The splatters of paint, the unfinished projects, the unsent portfolios were her only company. Just when her heart felt submerged under despair, an unexpected invitation arrived in an envelope, fragrant with anticipation. The formal letter bore her grandfather's name, the retired judge she barely knew, whose stern demeanor had long ago fractured their family ties. Despite her resentment towards generational expectations, a flicker of hope glinted in her chest. Could this be the chance for connection she yearned for? Her curiosity pulled her in, and she found herself en route to his lavish estate, where proclivity for extravagance felt like a stark contrast to her modest life. Upon arrival, she was enveloped in holiday magic, twinkling lights, plush decorations, and laughter echoing like wind chimes. But Rachel felt like an intruder. The charming warmth of the space suffocated her further, each smiling relative a reminder of the privilege she had stepped into. Their conversations bounced around her, a jarring mix of both celebration and subtle jabs, mocking her status as an outsider. With each passing moment at the grand dinner table, her stomach twisted tighter. While she exchanged polite words, her mind echoed with self-doubt. The clinking of fine china felt like a mockery as they spoke of their successes, achieved with a silver spoon in hand. Her breath hitched as she tried to shift the focus from her insecurities, caught in a web of envy and longing. Before Rachel's turmoil could envelop her completely, her grandfather stood, and with a serious glint in his eye, revealed a treasure buried deep within the family, the artwork of her late grandmother, an acclaimed artist. A hush fell over the room, the family exchanging glances of disbelief. Shocked, Rachel felt a ferocious swell of emotions. Anger at being kept away from this legacy, sorrow for what had been lost, and a burning yearning for acceptance. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Caught between her family's expectations and her own gnawing resentment, Rachel felt the weight of this revelation obscure the festive spirit around them. Their sympathetic glances morphed into pitying looks, igniting a fire in her that had long been dormant. What did it mean to belong to this family? What did reclaiming her grandmother's legacy truly entail? The glitz surrounding her felt smothering, yet she began to see an opportunity, a chance to express herself, to rediscover her artistic voice, perhaps to finally step out of the shadows. With her heart colliding against the complex tapestry of emotions, she struggled to confront this crossroads, knowing that the night was only beginning, and the true unraveling of her identity was soon to follow. Just then, her grandfather's voice cut through her thoughts, echoing as if to rattle her to her core. What are you willing to do to reclaim your legacy? In that moment, Rachel felt the ground shift beneath her. a haunting question that would steer the course of her Christmas and her life. Rachel's mind whirled as the weight of her grandfather's words settled on her shoulders. The glimmer of hope battling against the tide of doubt surged through her veins. What did reclaiming her grandmother's legacy mean? Would she merely inherit her grandmother's possessions? Or did it call for deeper introspection, and perhaps the rediscovery of what lay dormant in her own heart? As the evening unfolded, Rachel found herself gravitating towards a dimly lit corner of the grand living room, away from the cacophony of congratulations and toasts. The shadows offered her a momentary refuge from the overwhelming expectations pressing in from all sides. Her heart raced at the thought of taking her place in the world of art, an arena she had cautiously danced around but never fully embraced. Her gaze wandered over to a series of framed paintings that adorned the walls. Each brushstroke seemed to whisper secrets of a life filled with passion, struggle, and triumph. Her grandmother's spirit felt palpable. How had she navigated the world of artists and critics? What hardships had she overcome? Rachel leaned closer and felt a familiar tug of recognition. This was the voice she had lost. Sudden resolve ignited within her. What if I dared to confront my own fears instead of cowering behind comparisons? The thought reverberated like a rallying cry. She felt an inkling of clarity pierce through the fog of inadequacy. Could she transform this emotional maelstrom into something tangible? The yearning for acceptance morphed into a determination to carve her own identity outside the shadows cast by her family's legacy. In that moment, Rachel made a decision. She would reach out. She had an opportunity not just to reclaim her grandmother's name, but to explore her own artistic journey. As she allowed this revelation to wash over her, something shifted inside. Each swirl of color on the canvas reflected resilience, binding her with her grandmother's spirit. And for the first time, it felt like a promise, both to herself and to the family whose expectations weighed heavily on her. The festivities continued, but Rachel could hardly focus on the party's frivolities. She waited for an opportune moment to speak with her grandfather, to understand his vision of heritage and what it had cost her family. As laughter and conversation wove a tapestry of holiday cheer around her, she was both alive with excitement and anxious about what lay ahead. What would he say? Would he support her longing to explore art? Or would he stifle her with his antiquated views? And suddenly, she spotted him, standing alone in the hallway, surveying the festivities with a contemplative expression. Rachel's heart thrummed in her chest as she took a deep breath, forging steel from her newfound courage. She stepped forward, ready to confront both her grandfather's perspective and her own willingness to seize her legacy. But just as she was about to speak, she overheard her aunts murmuring about an art competition held annually that her grandmother had once won, a competition that could launch her own artistic career should she dare to participate. Rippled excitement washed over her, but mixed with a tide of fear. Was she ready to enter this space, to reveal her art for judgment? Rachel's resolve faltered. She needed to know more. The gravity of the decision ahead loomed larger than ever. Would she embrace the challenge, claiming her place in the artistic lineage, or would she shrink back once again, hidden within the guise of family expectations? Moments ticked by as she weighed her options, caught in a storm of internal conflict, her path hanging delicately in the balance. The night stretched ahead of her, filled with possibilities both exhilarating and terrifying, pushing her to the brink of action. The question pulsed through her mind, echoing with urgency. Would she step into the light and reveal herself to the world, or retreat once more into the shadows of self-doubt? The answer awaited her, hidden behind the doorway of her grandfather's study. Rachel squared her shoulders, determination pulsing through her. With a few measured steps, she approached, ready to confront not only her family's expectations, but the artist she knew she could become. Rachel stood before the door, her heart racing. A mix of adrenaline and uncertainty coursed through her blood, each beat echoing the imminent confrontation looming ahead. She could hear the subdued chatter of the gathering beyond, but her focus was singular, This moment was about seizing her own potential and her convictions. Would this interaction spark her pathway forward, or prove another stumbling block in her journey of self-discovery? The weight of her thoughts reverberated in her mind. Her grandfather had seen her grandmother as an emblem of talent, a legacy intertwined with expectation. Would he see her as a successor worthy of that same title, or merely a shadow of the past? Rachel's breath hitched as she considered the potential judgment she might face. Courage swelled within her, battling the whispers of self-doubt, urging her to pull back and protect herself from disappointment. Inhaling deeply, she turned the doorknob and pushed open the door. The musty scent of old leather and worn wood met her, a world apart from the jubilant chaos outside. Her grandfather stood, his back to her, peering out the window where night swirled like a dream. She cleared her throat, a sound small and fragile in the charged silence. "Grandpa?" He turned, his expression one of surprise, and then softened into a smile. It was the same smile she remembered, imbued with the warmth of a family bond. But behind it, she spotted a glimmer of something deeper, a cautious hope, and perhaps the weight of expectations. "Rachel," he said, voice gentle yet authoritative. "What brings you here?" The ease of his tone momentarily dulled the tension, yet internally she wrestled with her next words, feeling the resolve she just built shifting like sand. Would she lead with the competition, or open up the swirling gray of her self-doubt? She cleared her throat again, the words spilling forward. "I want to understand more about the legacy of art in our family, and what it means for me. I heard about the competition Grandma won. I want to enter." His expression shifted, brows knitting together as if she had sprung a surprise upon him. "That wasn't just any competition, Rachel. Your grandmother poured her heart into her art, her soul on the canvas. It was a defining moment for her, but it came with risks, scrutiny from critics, emotional vulnerability. It was brutal at times." His words sliced through the air. The weight of her grandmother's triumph now bore the heaviness of reality. Rachel felt the cold fingers of fear grip her again. "But I have to start somewhere, right?" She dared to meet his gaze, craving his affirmation. Starting is one thing, but sustaining that passion and facing rejection is another. He paused, searching her eyes. "I must ask, are you truly ready to embrace the intensity that comes with creating?" In that moment, Rachel bullied the thundering pulse within her to a simmer. She paused, feeling an unexpected surge of authenticity rise to the surface. What was she, if not ready to dive into her own art, to confront her potential? "I don't know, but I want to find out. I want to carve out my space." The tension in the room shifted, a palpable acceptance radiating from him. "Art requires presence, Rachel. It demands your very essence. If you're willing to risk that, you are already halfway there." A strange clarity swept over her. This was what she craved. Not merely approval, but a journey fueled by her own choices. Yet, before she could process the ramifications of his enigmatic words, a thought surfaced, chilling her resolve. If she accepted the course laid before her, she would have to share her vulnerabilities with the world. Once she stepped onto that stage, there would be no turning back. "Will you support me?" she asked, the question hanging heavy between them. He studied her for moments that stretched like eternity, finally nodding slowly. "I will support your journey, but you must promise to be honest with yourself." Rachel nodded, uncertainty intertwined with a fresh determination. But just as their agreement settled into the air, the door creaked open, and one of her aunts peeked in. "Grandpa, we need you out here. The last toast awaits." The moment fractured, and she felt the edges of her courage fray, conflicting emotions swelling again. "Rachel," her grandfather said firmly, drawing her attention. "In art and in life, the moments that define us are often unexpected. Don't let your moment slip away." As she absorbed his words, a mix of fear and exhilaration rippled through her again. The competition loomed like a mountain in her path, and already she felt the stakes rising higher. Would she step into the light as intended, or would the burdens of her past disrupt the journey she was so eager to embrace? Another crossroads lay ahead, filled with choices still unwritten, waiting for her action. And soon she'd have to face the judgment awaiting her on that daunting stage of self-expression. The room thrummed with conversations continuing outside, reminding her she was teetering on the edge of a pivotal leap. What awaited her when the time to present her art arrived? Would she be able to uphold the promise she made to herself? The clock ticked, insistent and relentless, pushing her into a dizzying spiral of impending possibility. And with every tick, the realization dawned. She must confront the essence of who she was meant to become. Rachel stood at the threshold of self-discovery, feeling the weight of expectation press down upon her as gently as a mist. The invitation to art had morphed from a distant longing into a tangible responsibility. The urgency rose in her chest, igniting an inner flame even as self-doubt congealed around her resolve. Leaving the cluttered haven of her grandfather's study, she made her way into the gathering room, the celebratory chatter morphing into a symphony of encouragement and anxiety. Surrounded by family, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of party lights, she felt like an outsider in her own skin. She fought against the mounting pressure of their eyes, a collective gaze that seemed to demand more than she was ready to give. As Rachel settled into the twinkling ambiance, a sense of clarity began to emerge from within the chaos. She was here to validate herself, not just to seek approval or affirmation. Intent on revealing her aspirations through her art, she wondered how she might muster the courage to do so. Judging from the energy in the room, would the warmth be supportive or merely a facade veiling harsh criticisms? Then, amid the stream of conversations, she caught snippets of her family's discussions about creativity, the battles faced, the victories celebrated, and the scars left by artistic pursuits. Each narration fueled a stubborn fire within her to push through her fears. Hadn't her grandmother faced storms, emerging stronger and more refined? Rachel resolved to dig deeper into that legacy, to forge her own path rather than remain a shadow. A soft chuckle from her aunt snapped her momentary trance. "Are you going to keep standing there, or will you join us, Rachel?" Her aunt's voice called, melodic yet teasing, a summons to break free from the cycle of inner turmoil. "Let's turn this night into something more." Rachel's voice was unexpectedly confident, surprising even herself. A ripple of interest sparked among the guests, heads turning in curiosity. Empowered by her own declaration, Rachel realized every creative venture began with such audacity, simply joining the dialogue, garnering the courage to voice her dreams. The room shifted in focus, and she took a few steps toward her family. "I've decided I want to participate in the art competition." It was both a declaration and a challenge. Her heart thudded in her chest as the room quieted, absorbing the confession. A wave of congratulatory murmurs washed over her, mostly rooted in sincere surprise. For a moment, she felt light, untethered from the burdens of expectations. Her grandfather's presence warmed her, a silent nod of understanding that she was taking her first steps toward genuine engagement. But lurking underneath that exhilaration, Rachel sensed a strain of hesitance. Would they welcome her endeavor, or would this revelation paint her as an incomplete reflection of her grandmother? Their reactions would come, and the real test of her resolve awaited. "Tough competition, is it?" Her uncle's teasing tone broke through the tension. Yet, beneath the joking words lay a challenge. This was her moment. "Absolutely, but I'm going to make it a great experience just like Grandma," Rachel countered, her own determination weaving into the fibers of the room. The echoes of praise and laughter swirled around her, even as she questioned what awaited once the applause faded. With each affirmative whisper, she understood that this was more than just an art competition. It was her initiation into asserting her worth as a creator, a chance to weave her narrative into the family legacy. And each connection she made here, every brushstroke of validation, would be a fortress against the coming criticisms she knew awaited her. The thought both thrilled and terrified her. Facing the canvas was merely one part of the journey. Expressing herself with authenticity would be an entirely different landscape altogether. Would her truth resonate, or would she falter under the weight of her own aspirations? As the evening rolled forward, Rachel's thoughts began to crystallize into plans. Strategy mixed with desire filled her mind. If she sought direction from her grandfather's legacy while forging her distinct voice, perhaps she could carve out an artistic territory free of comparison. Yet just as the liberating burst of inspiration surged through her, the door swung open, and a blast of cool night air swept through, catching the attention of everyone in the room. Rachel's heart skipped. Another family member appeared. A voice she hadn't expected echoed in from the entrance, drawing her attention like a moth to a flame. "I hope I'm not late to the party, but I heard there's a budding artist in the family." The newcomer smiled widely, and with that, the joy blended with an undeniable tinge of apprehension. Would this unexpected arrival reinforce her confidence, or would it stir up the insecurities she'd been battling? It was her moment of truth, clashing with the idea of facing an unknown judge of her aspirations. As the laughter resumed, Rachel felt a renewed pulse of determination thrumming in her veins. The intersection of support and rivalry was about to unfold, and she welcomed the challenge. Ready or not, the canvas of her life awaited its strokes. Rachel's pulse raced as she tried to discern the newcomer through the celebratory throng. The figure glided into focus. Her cousin, Maya, an established artist renowned for her bold creations that often dominated gallery walls. Rachel's heart sank slightly at the sight. Would this seasoned talent view her with admiration or condescension? The laughter had dimmed for her, as if a spotlight had suddenly narrowed around their collision of art and family expectations. "Wow, a budding artist, huh? I can't wait to see what you're working on." Maya's tone was playful, yet probing, as if gauging Rachel's determination right there amidst family. Beneath the surface of her cousin's cheerfulness, Rachel could sense a challenge, an implication that she had to prove herself, not just as an artist, but as a worthy descendant of their grandmother's legacy. "Yeah, I've decided to enter the competition," Rachel replied, trying to project confidence despite the quaver in her voice. The murmurs of interest swirled back around her, her family's gaze hungry for the story that accompanied this bold declaration. They leaned in expectantly, prompting Rachel to contextualize her aspiration for them. Such a recital felt vulnerable. Art isn't just about talent, it's about navigating fear and vulnerability, Rachel reiterated, her thoughts racing to piece together a coherent path amidst mounting expectations. She could sense Maya's scrutiny, not critical perhaps, but poised, ready to evaluate her resolve. "I want to express my truth through my work." The faith behind her words surprised even her. Maya nodded approvingly, yet a flicker of uncertainty passed across her face. "That's the spirit. Just remember, it won't always be easy. Art demands a fierce heart." The intensity of their shared lineage broke through the smaller familial ties, colliding their very different experiences. Rachel smiled at Maya's response, an unexpected blend of encouragement tinged with warning. Instead of retreating, Rachel felt her resolve boiling up. After all, what laid behind Maya's accolades was likely a story of hardship. "I know. It's both exciting and terrifying," she admitted. "But I want to draw on Granny's journey. She embraced her challenges with courage. I have to find that within myself too." Maya's eyes lit up at the reference to their grandmother, perhaps recognizing a reflection of her own experience in Rachel's words. "Then make sure to channel that determination into your work. Who knows, you might surprise us all." There was sincerity in her voice, a subtle shift that transformed Rachel's apprehension into resolve. With the music playing sweetly in the background, Rachel felt a wave of possibility wash over her. She couldn't afford to let fear control her brush or her future. Instead, she resolved to dive into her creative process with sincerity and a willingness to confront the unknown. Each stroke on the canvas would serve as both a revelation and an assertion of her identity, an evolving dialogue between folk legacy, and personal ambition. As the evening wore on, Rachel found herself engaged with her family, soaking in stories of artistic struggles, failures, and triumphs. Each anecdote wove the fabric of their shared creativity tighter. She understood these were more than mere histories. They were lifelines as she prepared to navigate her own route. However, beneath the incandescent warmth of familial camaraderie lurked a gnawing thought that pierced through the revelry. Maya's previous words echoed in her mind. What if Rachel's truth didn't resonate? What if her endeavor only served to magnify her shortcomings? Confronting what lay ahead would be unavoidable. Details of her artistic vision floated like whispers just out of reach. Claiming her place in the artistic sphere meant wrestling with convincing her family, and more importantly herself, that her voice was worthy, that her art had value. Just as determination surged, her resolve tangled in the glow of acceptance, the door swung open again, reinstating a blast of night air, wrapping the room in a hug of chilling alertness. Another familiar face appeared, casting a long shadow over her burgeoning courage. This time, it was her older brother Ethan, whose reputation often outshone her own in their shared family realm. He strolled confidently, a self-assured smirk plastered across his face. "I hope you all aren't falling for Rachel's little art phase," Ethan announced, a mixture of mockery and challenge in his tone. His gaze locked onto Rachel, forcing her heartbeat to quicken in her chest. The sibling rivalry that created a rift, now wrapped around her endeavors, stung like an unresolved tension, testing her fortitude. Would this moment shatter her fragile confidence, or divert it to a newfound strength? As she measured the challenge he presented, staring at Ethan with renewed determination, Rachel grasped the truth she had long hunted. The time had come to face the expectations of her family, and perhaps the self-doubt swirling within. Rachel's throat felt tight as Ethan's words hung in the air like a heavy cloud, casting shadows over her hopeful aspirations. She clenched her fists, the subtle tremor of her fingers shouting resistance. Ethan thrived in the spotlight, often celebrated for his extensive business acumen, and yet here he was, undermining her creatively budding self. "Not a phase, Ethan," she forced out, taking a step forward to confront him. "This is my passion, and I'm committed to proving it." The conviction behind her words surprised her, an adrenaline surge that she hadn't expected. Ethan's smirk faltered for a moment, replaced by a glimmer of curiosity, or perhaps disbelief, as he scrutinized her. Rachel seized the opportunity, feeling her head clear. The path to recognition could start here. "Art is more than a hobby for me," she continued, her voice steadier, embodying the strength she hoped to inspire. "It's about legacy, expression, and vulnerability. It's my way of connecting to Granny." The shift in the air was palpable. The surrounding family members felt the tension, their gazes flickering between the two siblings, clearly engrossed. Rachel fought to maintain eye contact with Ethan, refusing to back down. She wasn't just appealing to him. She was claiming her space among them. At that moment, his demeanor changed, and the mockery melted away. "All right, little sister. Let's see what you've got." There was an undercurrent of challenge woven into his tone now, but also something unexpected, an acknowledgement. Rachel sensed this was more than just sibling rivalry. It was an invitation to prove herself. This realization empowered her. She turned to the vibrant scene around her, suddenly aware of the faces. Each of her family members held stories of their own endeavors, of the nights spent perfecting their craft, the moments of inspiration, and the crippling self-doubt that swelled in their chests. They had struggled and persisted. She realized they would understand, if only she shared her truth boldly enough. As Rachel retreated from the confrontation with her brother, a sense of clarity enveloped her. She could visualize her canvases, an abstract kaleidoscope of colors and emotions ready to spill forth, a testament to her experiences, her fears, and her triumphs. The pressure to create began to build within her like a storm, fueling her with inspiration. But it also stirred up uncomfortable questions. Could she truly evict self-doubt from her mind? What if her brushes could not transcribe her inner dialogue as vividly as she imagined? Would the colors she chose resonate? Or would they fall flat against the canvas of perception? Deciding it was time to act, Rachel made her way to her favorite corner of the house where the sunlight filtered in through the windows. The perfect sanctuary for her creative sanctuary. An easel stood ready in her small makeshift studio, almost beckoning for her to touch it. She needed to put the emotions swirling inside her onto the canvas. As she stood before her easel, a space that encapsulated hope and anxiety, Rachel grabbed her brush, hand trembling slightly. She envisioned Granny surrounded by vibrant hues, the woman who had shaped her love for art, the fierce heart they both shared. Each stroke she planned felt like a piece of that legacy, an echo of their shared determination. It was now or never, and Rachel closed her eyes, breathing deeply. She imagined the colors blending, swirling into a rhythm of their own. Uncertainty attempted to creep back into her mind, whispering taunts that she'd be merely chasing shadows. Yet, she summoned the very words Maya had spoken, and the fire within her amplified. With her heart pounding, she opened her eyes and began to paint. The first stroke was tentative, but it sparked something within her, a realization that creation itself was a journey through vulnerability, challenge, and ultimately self-affirmation. The intensity of the moment wrapped around her as she lost herself in the act of painting, but just as she began to find her flow, a noise interrupted her focus, startling her from the trance. A knock echoed through the house, and she turned to see Maya stepping through the door, an earnest expression on her face. "Rachel, I have something important to discuss about art and authenticity," Maya announced, interrupting the delicate ebb of inspiration. Rachel's heart sank. Was the time for confrontation already upon her again? Was she ready to dive deeper into her journey of artistic truth? Or would doubt rear its ugly head for one more round? Maya's words hung in the air, thick with expectation. The earnestness of her expression painted a stark contrast to the uncertainty swirling in Rachel's mind. Rachel set her brush down, anxiety prickling her skin as she studied Maya. Hadn't she just begun to peel back the layers of her artistic identity? The interruption felt almost cruel. "Now?" Rachel managed, her voice threaded with hesitation. "Is this really the right time?" Maya stepped into the room, her demeanor unyielding. "Yes, Rachel, this is exactly the right time. If you want to succeed, authenticity isn't just a buzzword. It's a deep-rooted practice, but it starts with understanding yourself." Rachel crossed her arms against the sudden chill of scrutiny. Maya was right. She needed to dig deeper, to confront what lay beneath her passion for art. Yet, the idea felt daunting. Wasn't she supposed to feel liberated when creating? Yet, here, she grappled with the weight of expectation. Art communicates more than beauty. It reflects our truths, our vulnerabilities, Maya continued, as if sensing Rachel's internal turmoil. And for you, that means embracing your fears, not running from them. "I'm not running," Rachel retorted, though the conviction in her voice was shaky. The memory of Ethan's dismissal tugged at her, mingling with her desire to prove herself. "I just thought I could create freely." "Can you really?" Maya challenged, tilting her head slightly. "Art without authenticity risks falling flatter than the paint on your canvas. What are you afraid to confront?" The question thrummed through Rachel, reverberating in her thoughts like an echo resonating in an empty chamber. What was she afraid of? The answer felt slippery, wavering between self-doubt and the fear of unveiling an imperfect truth to the world. "I'm scared that my art won't be enough," Rachel admitted finally, her voice a mere whisper. "What if my interpretation of Grandma's legacy isn't good enough? What if it doesn't do her justice?" A contemplative silence enveloped them, thick with shared understanding. Maya nodded slowly, the corner of her lips lifting, almost encouraging. "Your art doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be honest." It's not about what's expected of you. This is your expression, your journey. Rachel took a deep breath, weighing Maya's advice against the tumult in her mind. Each brush stroke had to resonate with her, reflect the unfiltered emotions rather than the polished facade she saw in galleries. If her pieces were to speak of vulnerability, could she dare to lay her insecurities bare? What if I try to dig deeper? Rachel pondered aloud, an ember of resolution flickering to life. What if I let my brush expose more than just the surface? What would that look like? Then you'd be taking a significant step, Maya said, her eyes brightening. You'd be on the path toward authentic expression. You're not just painting for the sake of aesthetics. Your pieces will emerge as a testament to self-discovery. The notion ignited a fire within Rachel, one fueled by the prospect of exploring the depths of her experience. She could portray the bittersweet moments of her relationship with Granny, those imbued with love, loss, and lessons learned. This wasn't solely about aesthetic. It was about encapsulating a legacy fraught with complexity. Rachel felt her heart thrumming in excitement, a mixture of fear and exhilaration igniting her veins. The thought of embracing the imperfect resonated like music within her. I can do this, she affirmed, her voice firming up. I need to channel everything. The pain, the joy. That's how I'll honor her. Maya smiled, clearly pleased. Just remember, embracing your truth might stir uncomfortable feelings, but that's where growth lies. You're creating not only for yourself, but also for the community that will eventually receive it. Rachel nodded, determination igniting her resolve. She wasn't just stepping outside her comfort zone, she was stepping into her truth. Her art could become the map of her emotional landscape. As she prepared to return to the canvas, the weight of expectation transformed into anticipation. Each brushstroke would be dipped in vulnerability, grounded in authenticity. As she turned back to her easel, Rachel felt herself on the precipice of something relatively new, a confrontation with raw honesty, and the desire to paint not just what she saw, but what she felt, blossoming. Before Rachel could raise her brush again, Maya spoke. Remember, the process might be messy, but that's what makes it real. Don't shy away when the moment arrives for your vision to confront the audience. Rachel paused, thoughts swirling. Soon, she would have to face not just the canvas, but the world that surrounded her. Could she turn those colors into a language of her heart? She was carving a path towards self-actualization, and it wouldn't be all smooth strokes. Yet was she ready to face the inevitable judgment? Her thoughts danced between excitement and trepidation. Could she bridge the gap between her fearful vulnerability and the artistry she desired? With a deep breath, she assured herself that this would be a journey worth the risk, a journey toward discovery. But just as she clutched her brush again, a nagging realization reemerged. The anticipation of unveiling her soul meant facing the echoes of her past, each distant memory tugging on her heart, whispering fears of inadequacy. Would Rachel gather the courage to confront the complexities of her artistic journey? The moment of truth loomed closer, the canvas waiting to mirror her deepest self. Rachel stood before her easel, clutching the brush, her heart racing beneath the weight of Maya's words. As the initial thrill of anticipation washed over her, it quickly collided with the tumult of self-doubt, a familiar companion that lingered in the corners of her mind. What if she couldn't capture the essence of her grandmother's legacy? What if her expression fell flat, unworthy of the memory she sought to honor? She squinted at the blank canvas, demandingly white like a reprimanding sheet of paper awaiting reprimand. This very void brimmed with potential, but it also harbored her insecurities. Could she truly convey the depth of her emotions through paint? The thought ignited a flicker of panic. What would it mean if her art turned out to be merely a shadow of her capabilities? Closing her eyes, Rachel tried to ground herself. She focused on her breath, inhaling and exhaling slowly. Breathing in, she called forth the warmth of her grandma's embrace, the smell of her favorite perfume wafting through memories sweetened with love, light, and laughter. Exhaling, she released the burdens of expectations and fear. With newfound resolve, she dipped her brush into the paint, cautiously laying down her first stroke, a deep, warm brown that echoed the wood of her grandmother's kitchen table. Each stroke carried a rhythmic dance, a push and pull that mirrored Rachel's internal state. Her instinct urged her forward, while her fears whispered words of discouragement. Maya's words flickered in her mind. Embrace your fears. What did that truly mean? With each added color, she posed questions to herself that went beyond technique. What had her grandmother taught her about resilience, about navigating through life's messiness? Those moments clambered to the forefront, each memory rich with experience and wisdom. Gradually, the colors melded with raw emotion, a tapestry that began to unravel the story of a woman whose life had been both vibrant and marred by hardships. There was power in acknowledging the flaws, the journey itself becoming part of the portrait. As she layered paint, Rachel discovered an exhilarating sense of purpose. She was not merely recreating a likeness. She was crafting a narrative, a visceral experience that embodied everything her grandmother symbolized. With muddy brushstrokes and wild splashes of color, Rachel's vision unfolded, each layer peeling back another shroud of her vulnerability, exposing the sheer strength hidden within. Yet, amidst her burgeoning creativity, shadows of criticism loomed. Would her family understand this version of her art? Would they perceive the intricacies, the longing, the beauty within the struggle? Each reflected thought sent an adrenaline spike coursing through her veins. The internal dialogue intensified. The struggle between authenticity and fear raged on. Would they embrace her emotional reflections, or simply see them as an inadequate depiction of their beloved matriarch? Rachel thrust her brush forward, channeling her uncertainty into strokes that were both fierce and tender, as if simultaneously battling and caressing her fears. This was no longer just a painting. It morphed into an exploration of self that echoed with history and came alive with emotions she had yet to fully examine. The external noise faded, rendered insignificant against the cacophony of her self-discovery. And in that moment of clarity, a burgeoning realization washed over her. Vulnerability didn't equate to weakness. It was an invitation. A bridge that could connect her not just to her past, but also to whomever was meant to experience her truth. With each brushstroke, she embraced the vulnerability, turning it into a strength. But just as the painting began to take form, a sudden wave of doubt crashed over her again. What if the audience wasn't ready? Rachel's heart raced at the thought. How had she not anticipated this moment of hesitation? Was it truly worth the risk to bare her soul when she still felt so raw? The echoes of past judgment solidified her uncertainty, creeping back uninvited. She hesitated, brush hovering over the canvas, caught between the familiarity of fear and the alluring prospect of authentic expression. The questions spiraled. Was she ready for this unveiling? Would her narrative resonate beyond her walls? Emboldened by the effort she had already put in, she took another deep breath as the tension mounted. Each moment stretched between the choices she had yet to face and the legacy she sought to honor. The decision lay before her, poised like an unresolved chord, and as she took a step closer, the urgency of authenticity clawed at her resolve. She had crossed a line into uncharted territory, but were her feet steady enough to walk this path? Would she take the plunge, letting her truth spill onto the canvas? Or would she shrink back into the shadows of self-doubt, leaving the strokes unpainted and the story untold? A pivotal truth lingered at the edge of her consciousness, waiting to tell her something she couldn't quite grasp. The moment had arrived to dive deeper or retreat. What would she choose next? Rachel felt her heart slam against her ribs, a throbbing reminder of the weight that hung in the balance between creation and retreat. The vibrant colors swirled into the depths of her mind, conjuring narratives she had long suppressed. The answer lay somewhere in the slashes of color on the canvas. Yet the fear of what lay beneath that surface held her captive. She lowered her brush tentatively, allowing herself to be swallowed by the stillness of the room. Each corner echoed the stories her grandmother had shared: wisdom, love, and a resilience forged through countless challenges. The image flickered in her mind, a reminder that she too carried that resilience within. What would her grandmother say if she could see this moment? Would she encourage Rachel to push forward, to unveil every layer of turmoil and triumph? Or would she caution her to protect her heart? With determination coursing through her veins, Rachel considered the implications of silencing her truth. What if her art became a mere semblance of her experience? She could not afford to just skate around the surface, making pretty strokes that didn't reflect the raw grit she felt within. As if summoned by her resolve, memories flooded her consciousness. The time her grandmother had whispered stories of heartache over cups of tea, her voice a blend of warmth and sorrow. The moments spent poring over family albums, each photograph narrating history, triumph, and grief. Those stories felt heavier now, as if they were beckoning Rachel to honor her past boldly. She breathed deeply, calling forth each whispered regret, every lesson learned, knowing they were the threads that would help her stitch a more profound fabric of expression. Her hand tightened around the brush, the wooden handle a conduit between the intangible and the tangible. She dipped it once more into the paint, vibrant hues swirling like the emotions churning within. What emerged was an interplay between chaos and beauty. Each stroke demanded to be seen, to be felt. She poured out her uncertainty, her strength, and her deepest fears. A self-portrait began to take shape. Not in the literal image of her face, but through the emotions and struggles she grappled with daily. This was not just one woman's story, but a testament to the generations of women who had come before her, united in their shared resilience and vulnerability. Her grandmother's legacy wasn't merely a historical echo. It pulsed through Rachel's brush as she painted. Each flick held the weight of love, loss, and eventual rebirth. And as she gazed at the emerging artwork, a flicker of hope ignited within her. Could she truly share this? Would they, her family, embrace this vulnerable reflection of not only her grandmother, but of herself? What if they saw not just the struggles, but also the triumphant spirit behind them? A gentle determination took root within her, urging her to leap into this new creative venture. If she buried this rawness once again, it would be a disservice to herself and those who needed to hear the stories of perseverance. Yet, as the layers deepened, so too did the weight of possibility come crashing back. What if they reacted with disappointment? What if her truth was too harsh, too unrefined for their taste? Rachel pulled back slightly, surveying her canvas, the strokes alive and thrumming with an energy of their own. As she considered the tide of feelings rushing through her, a potent blend of fear, doubt, and untold possibility, she realized that this was a defining moment, a crossroads of sorts. Would she allow fear to hold her back from her revelation? In the stillness, beneath the chaos of her thoughts, she sensed it. The moment before the plunge, the heartbeat that marked great change. Would the act of unveiling her truth propel her forward into uncharted waters, or would it drown her in the weight of unacceptance? Brushing aside her trepidation, she picked up the brush again, preparing to swirl her emotions, vulnerable, tumultuous, yet undeniably powerful, onto the canvas. Each stroke now felt like a question, a challenge to herself. Will you share your story, Rachel? As she readied herself for this revelation, a knock echoed through the studio, the unexpected jolt dragging her away from the artistic trance she had occupied. Her heart quickened, and she hesitated, pulse racing in anticipation of the potential disruption. Could this intruding moment be a sign? An affirmation that her fears leading her to retreat were perhaps unfounded? Rachel clenched her jaw, reclaiming her resolve, caught between the impending revelation of her art and the potential revelations waiting to greet her at the door. Would this visitor disrupt her flow? Or would this moment redefine everything she thought she knew about sharing her truth? Rachel inhaled deeply as she placed her brush down, unsure whether to yield to the visitor knocking on her door or to stay cocooned in her vibrant world of paint and emotion. That instinctive pull toward her art battled against the chorus of uncertainties ignited by the interruption. The door resonated again, breaking the stillness of her studio. With a hesitant resolve, she tossed her fears aside and moved toward the door. It swung open, and her eyes landed on an unexpected figure. Her grandfather, his expression a blend of pride and curiosity. "May I come in?" he asked, a warmth in his voice that momentarily eased her trepidation. She nodded, gesturing for him to enter. The room filled with the earthy scent of paints and turpentine, mingling with the undeniable air of vulnerability she felt nestled in her heart. As they settled into the vibrant chaos of her creative space, she sensed his keen interest. "I saw you painting from afar," he began, his gaze flicking toward the canvas. "I wanted to see how you were interpreting your grandmother's legacy." The weight of his words settled heavy in the air. Rachel could feel a tightness in her throat. Would he approve? Would he see her as worthy of that legacy, or merely as falling short of the expectations tethered to their family name? "I'm trying to honor her, to explore what her art meant for me, for our family," she replied softly, voice steadying as she spoke her truth. "But with every brushstroke, I also feel uncertain about if I can truly represent her story." Her grandfather studied her, and in that moment, she anticipated a judgment laced with disappointment, or perhaps approval. Instead, he nodded empathetically, a look of understanding clouding his features. She carved a space for herself in the world of art through vulnerability, through facing her fears. "What you are experiencing is part of that journey. You're painting your truth, the real reflections of love and loss," he replied, a hint of pride coloring his voice. "Your art will tell a story, much like hers." The tensions wrapped around her heart began to unravel, replaced by a burgeoning confidence. Her journey, with all its imperfections, was worthy of being told. She took him deeper into her studio, guiding him toward the canvas, as if it were a sanctum containing her very essence. "Can I show you?" she asked, her pulse racing as she felt the shift between hope and fear. His eyes darted to the canvas. The juxtaposition of color and emotion began to dance before his eyes, revealing layers she had poured out like whispers seeking acknowledgement. "Your grandmother faced rejection too, but she always returned to the canvas, to her truth, to her legacy. You have the same spirit," he said, a sense of reverence blending with his acknowledgement. "And now, you have the chance to reshape that legacy into something genuinely yours." A tremor of emotion stirred within her. Here was the recognition she craved, the validation that what she was embarking on was not just a fleeting moment of artistic expression, but a genuine representation of herself, her ancestry, and the artistry that spanned generations. "Will you support me?" she ventured, her voice thick with emotion. "As I prepare for the competition, this art means more than just winning. It's about embracing my truth and my journey." "Yes, Rachel, I will support you wholeheartedly. This is not just about your competition. This is about discovering the artist within you, a voice that deserves to be heard," her grandfather affirmed, an unwavering support radiating from him. With that promise woven between them, Rachel felt an unfamiliar yet welcomed gust of courage. As her brush touched the canvas once more, she found a new rhythm, resonating with the emotional journey inherent in her art, the legacy now sprouting its own wings, connected deeply to her, yet independence coursing through it like vibrant paint. Each stroke became a declaration, a proclamation that she was more than just a descendant. She was an artist in her own right. The doubts that had once anchored her slowly dissolved, replaced with the knowledge that her journey was uniquely hers to mold, forged from the grief, joy, and resilience that remained part of her legacy. Each splash of color reshaping into a narrative marked by personal growth, illuminated like never before. She was finally ready to share not only her grandmother's story, but also her own, bridging the generation gap with honesty and authenticity. As her heart swelled with newfound confidence, she glanced up, catching her grandfather's approving smile. The warmth of familial approval igniting a fire within her that had long awaited kindling. The legacies intertwined, transforming into a celebration of the journey she would now confidently embrace. This moment solidified her metamorphosis, establishing her as an artist in her own right, a promise to herself and to her grandmother's legacy that vibrated within her every brushstroke. Rachel had not simply created art. She had achieved a significant leap in her self-identity, demonstrating unwavering growth. No longer merely existing within familial expectations, she forged her own path, determined to unveil every aspect of herself, one color at a time. Sharing this profound journey was merely the beginning, and she couldn't wait for the world to witness the masterpiece that was not just her art, but the gritty, beautiful tapestry of her life and heritage. Now more than ever, Rachel Matthews stood ready, not only to reclaim her grandmother's legacy, but to celebrate her own unique artistry. Together, they had transcended the shadows of self-doubt, revealing the radiant truth within, a testament to the resilience of family, art, and ultimately, the unfathomable beauty of self-discovery. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment your reactions and theories about Rachel's journey and the emotional intricacies within this story. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share.